Well, welcome everybody. Today I'm joined with Kim Anderson. She's a full-time van lifer since 2022. She's crafted a beautifully unconventional life on the road. After spending over a decade in London and co-running a successful business, she and her partner sold in 2024. Kim has embraced a slower, more intentional way of living with her furry travel companions, Mimi the cat, Bear the German Shepherd, and
Hmm.
Ruby the Staffy Lab Cross. Kim splits her time between van life adventures and her renovated flat in Scotland, which also doubles as an Airbnb and family hub during the holidays. Kim has a master's in occupational therapy, although she admits that she's never really used this. And Kim's also explored around the world, like Central and South America, New Zealand, Australia, and Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
So, welcome, Kim. Thank you for
Oh,
joining me.
thanks for having me. Didn't need to say all of that, but it's occupational psychology, not therapy. So
Oh,
I can't help anybody in any, practical sense.
well, you never know. Like, I always think when I'm talking to psychologists, I'm like, are they analysing me here?
Oh, well, not me.
Thank you so much for joining me, though. I really, really appreciate you taking the time out. And I reached out to Kim after watching her liberation video. I found her super inspiring. If we could just dive in, I would love to take you back to the moment that you decided to leave behind a more traditional lifestyle and
Yeah.
step into van life. So, what inspired that choice?
I, about 6 months after I moved back to Edinburgh from London, I'd got this house, which I'd just never been happier in this house when I moved back. It was the first time I'd ever lived on my own. I'd rented in London, got there. 6 months after I moved back, met someone who lived in a
Mhm.
transit conversion, quite a rough and ready one, no running water, that kind of thing. And I have to credit him with the inspiration of the huge leap to actually live in it. I just definitely thought that I would have a camper and use it, but yeah, he just yeah, it became possible because we've been working from home. I'd stepped back a little bit from the business at that point, not on so many calls and things like that, more of a advisory projects only kind of role. And yeah, I got busy and cleared some cupboards and renovated it a little bit of painting and took away some personal things and put the flat on Airbnb, and it was middle of March 2022. And we
Wow.
moved in. We bought the van about 4 years ago today, actually, beginning
Oh.
of November. And took a little while just to get it kind of home ready. It was a
Mhm.
conversion already, and it was a good buy, I think, at that time. And I've renovated it since as well, so everything's come out and gone back in again.
Amazing. So, how much did you pay for the van, if you don't mind me asking, and where did you find the van?
Yeah, of course not. It was on eBay, and I paid 22,000.
Wow.
So it was pretty. It was 115,000 miles at the time, 2012 plate, and it had been converted really well. So family had converted it, or a father and son duo had converted it for the son to do a lot of climbing. And
Hmm.
there was a really unfortunate um, incident actually, and the van never ended up being used at all. The son actually died, and I only say that because they didn't use it. They obviously had to sell it, and so
Hmm.
the couple that bought it from them, I think, used it maybe 2 or 3 times. So it was a really quite a brand new conversion with just a hint of sadness, I guess, behind the story of it. But
That's
it was beautifully
awful.
done, awful, awful. And so we were really fortunate. It had a huge fixed king size bed and a garage space and a fixed bathroom. So it looked really different. My ex had 2 kids as well, so 9 and 10. And there were times where all four of us and the 2 dogs were in that van.
Wow.
Probably the most amount of time together that we spent in there was like a week, maybe 10 days.
Mhm.
So yeah, three of us up in the bed, and one on a kind of pull-out converted couch that used to where the driver's seat used to double up as the kind of foot area of the bed. I
Yeah.
don't know how I don't know how we did it. I was still working quite a bit then as well, and at other times, like after about 6 months, we created a kind of a cubby bed in the garage space.
Yeah.
So it was quite rough and ready, but we made it work.
So
I don't know.
you
We also had a
actually,
stove. We had a stove
wow.
in there as well. I was looking at some pictures, and we had a stove kind of where the bin is now in that
Yeah.
space beside the door,
Yeah.
and added some right angle brackets to a flute so that the chimney could go out the window because I didn't want it permanent.
Uh-huh.
We were just living on top of each other, but honestly, we had the best times.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time outside, obviously.
Yeah. I guess that's one of the beautiful things about van life is that you have that connection to nature.
Yeah,
I mean, like
yeah,
nature essentially becomes your back garden, isn't it?
yeah. We had the door open as much as possible, you know, until it was negative temperatures.
Wow.
So
And
yeah,
so because you're saying that it had a permanent bed, but now it's a fold-up bed, isn't it? Like when I watched your
yeah,
video,
yeah.
it's a really clever design how it kind of your bed folds into the wall. So you did that yourself, like you made that change.
I did. So in it worked. It worked really well for what it was at that time that we first got the van, and we had a lot of well, my ex had a lot of like gear and fishing stuff and whatnot, and
Hmm.
we kept all of that in the garage. But when we broke up about 2.5 years ago, I used it as it was for a little while, kind of made things a little bit nicer for me. But I was just like, I can't get access to that space, and it's
Yeah.
really not usable for me. I'm not making the most of it. There was nowhere prior to, there never was anywhere for me to store my clothes. So I used
Hmm.
to just have four cushion cupboards with all my clothes in it, one for underwear, one for tops, one for bottoms. And so I felt like it would be really nice with this extra space because it did feel really spacious then, just being
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
somewhere where I could access my clothes. I had a chest of drawer under the bed for a little while, and then I had use of my aunt's garage for a little while. So she became not very well, and unfortunately had to go into a home. And so while the house was on the market, sorry, these are like loads of sad stories, but the point being is that I had access to a place where I could renovate the van and pull everything out,
Yeah.
which is a really, really difficult thing to do, especially if you are already full time. And there was no way, it was during the summer months, which is the best time to build, but not the best time to miss out on Airbnb bookings.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just started ripping everything out, which I did fairly single-handedly. I think my stepdad helped me pull out the bathroom wall because it had all been connected into the ceiling, so it was just a
Hmm.
real Tetris game of pulling everything out. There was a lot. The other reason, aside from the layout changes that I wanted to make to completely gut it, was just that I'd noticed that there was a lot of mold and
Oh,
damp
wow.
underneath the floor. So the water pump had obviously been leaking, but because of the way the build was done, it was super difficult to access that little cubby, and the electrics hadn't been brilliantly organized. My battery was starting to like fail me, all that sort of thing. I went to Van Love Fest that first summer by myself in the layout as it was, with plans to renovate and do it all out. And I got myself a Roamer battery then.
Nice.
But unfortunately, the setup of as it was, I didn't have the right sized inverter and all that. So everything just led to, yeah, I've got to do this. So after
Yeah.
I flipped it all out, I realized that I still had to do quite a lot of work on the computer.
Hmm.
And so I was really torn with my time. I thought if I don't if I don't get some help with this, I'm gonna be here forever. Um,
Yeah.
trying to get this thing built. Nor am I like brilliantly nor am I brilliantly skilled at everything. I can try my hand at things, but I was really fortunate. I met a guy locally. Well, I went on Grafter, put a wee advert on, and met
Mm.
a guy locally near where my auntie lived that already lived in his van
Yeah.
and was just available.
Wow. Oh,
So
that's handy.
he'd been visiting his mum at the time, and just every morning he came up about 8, half 8. We had coffee and set about what the plan was. So I was able to work on it with him like as much as
Perfect.
possible.
Well, that's really
So
good.
not
So
single-handed, but definitely design-wise, like I'd already sort of planned what I wanted it to look
yeah,
like for
the
sure.
design's really clever. And I know like in Liberation that was like a big feature, is just how like everything's very like multi-purpose. Like, things pull out, they go away, like your bed folds out, comes out. It's just really clever. So
Yeah.
I'll definitely encourage, I'll link your Liberation video in the show
Oh,
notes.
cool.
So everyone should go
I
and
mean, they
check it out.
edited it really well. My stepdad said to me, "The van looks really good." They've edited it really well, and I was like, "Oh, you've looked
Backhanded compliment.
100 times, but you probably." And lots of my family actually have said, "Oh, I didn't realize how complex it was, or whatever," because they're just saying it. I don't
Yeah.
know, passing and maybe not like giving it as much attention, or I haven't probably done a full van tour for them in the same way. So,
And how did your family take it on that note? Like when you said to them that you wanted to like go full time in your van, what were their kind of thoughts?
yeah, like so at the time I had Mimi since she was for 12 years, and the reason I say that is because it, she was a consideration, obviously, but at the same
Hmm.
time, it was such a huge change of lifestyle, and I didn't want her to suffer in the van. I didn't know how long really we would do it. And people used to
Yeah.
say you're not doing more than 6 months. You can't live in a van. You just can't. And the house that I had not long purchased, thanks to the work that I did in London, and I've got an ensuite in my bedroom, and I don't say that to be privileged, but what I mean is I was getting quite comfortable with
Uh-huh.
the amenities that I had. And so people were just like, there's no way you could live in a van. Like, you're so anal about cleaning, uh, you know, um, and so yeah, people definitely doubted me. So Mimi went to live with her nanny, my mum,
Mhm.
to be just to enjoy her life a little bit more for that time. And it got to the point where I realized that I was going to keep doing it indefinitely. So the new layout made it possible for me to factor her in,
Yeah.
having space for the litter, giving her more floor space, all that sort of stuff. There's a kind of an accidental cubby hole that she loves to sleep in, just underneath where the toilet is, sort of where the toilet used to roll
Oh.
in on a drawer, and so she loves it in there. But also she just lies on the kitchen counter, or
Hmm.
she lies on the dog bed now because she's so comfortable with the dogs.
Oh, that's lovely. And does she always, because like the worry with cats is that if you're always traveling, that they won't know where their home is. So
Yeah.
when she is like out and about, does she just obviously know that the van is her home and she will always come back?
No, I know, and there's definitely some comments on there that suggest a bit of a responsibility on my side, but I knew that she was pretty good. So we lived in London. I used to take her to friends' houses in the countryside
Hmm.
and give her a little trial of being outside within reason. And she had no reason to leave me. She
Yeah.
always came back. I could see that she loved being outside. I don't like most cats. She'd been a house cat when I first adopted her. She was a rehome, not a rescue.
Hmm.
Got her about a year, and she'd lived in a flat, but I'd started to let her out in London, just in the street a little bit. I had to leave the door open. So she was kind of, yeah, she'd reassured me, I suppose, that she was able to be outside. And she'd started, when she lived at mum, she was going out a little bit more in the garden. And then I had a tracker on her. I tried a lead on her to start with because I was a bit worried, and she just quickly got out of it. She just I don't know how she just got out of it. I got a little like Apple tag on her, and I used to put that
Hmm.
on her all the time. And honestly, this year I just haven't put it on her at all.
Wow.
Which I know it does seem, people will have opinions about that, but yeah, she's never let me down. And I think
Yeah.
the more you do it, the more confident you are.
Yeah. I think it's amazing how quickly pets can adapt. And essentially,
It's
you are her home. It's not
blown my
even,
mind. It really
yeah,
has.
yeah,
I'm so impressed with her. I've got so much respect for her because she puts up with these dogs. She completely dominates them, to be honest.
yeah,
Um, she's the best doorstop you could ask for. So if she's in the door, the dogs don't even try to go past.
yeah,
She's gotten so comfortable with Ruby that she has jumped up pretty much into Ruby's face to get onto that couch.
yeah.
Like, unbelievable. And I think I've forgotten your original question now, but yeah, she's like a huge achievement to be honest. And you can see that she loves it. She's enjoying like the variety. She goes out and catches mice now.
Wow.
She didn't used to have that kind of lifestyle in London.
Oh, bless
And
her.
in a home where, there aren't always mice around here, so
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. I love how much like I mean, I've seen this guy, I can't remember his name, where he actually travels with his cat on a bike and he just goes
right, yeah.
traveling around the world with it. And I
Yeah,
think, yeah, cats, they all animals I think can adapt. We don't give them enough credit. So
I
yeah,
know. And
just
the
ignore
dogs,
it.
I mean, the dogs are completely delighted with van life,
Oh, I
as far
bet.
as I can tell. I mean, I came here the other day and I couldn't get Bear out the footwell. Not
Yeah.
couldn't get him out, but he was sort of being a bit insolent and sort of sitting there, like, don't have to come in. Because he just was like, I can leave the van door open if I'm pottering
Mhm.
in and out, just cleaning or whatever. And yeah, I had to go back in and I had to actually go back into the van and lift Mimi out on Monday when I got here. She's
Wow.
she's so funny. She was just in her bed. I says, well, I could leave you out here all night, but I'd really rather you were like in the house with us.
Uh, bless
So
her.
yeah, she's so cute.
That's lovely. So when you first started living in the van, was it like split between, will you say like some time in the van, more time in the flat, and then it just slowly started to change, or?
No, I would say it's been so I was trying to think about it. So March 22, pretty much right through to like autumn, winter. And the only reason I wasn't in the flat, so the flat was booked out pretty much that whole or into so often at least that it wasn't worth coming back in.
Hmm.
Uh sometimes it was empty, I suppose, but it was pretty back to back and obviously I was here doing cleans and things. And then I ended up down in the borders for a little bit unexpectedly just because my auntie was beginning to not be so well. So what was
Hmm.
super convenient about that was that I didn't have to move there. I kind of just parked the van there and was available to help. And then at the point that she did need more help, it wasn't obviously an ideal situation, but I was able to have my home there, but be there for her.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was really perfect. I didn't feel like I was leaving my house, and my house was kind of earning a little bit of money for me at the time. So it was really possible. And so that's what sort of not stopped van life. I was in and out
Yeah.
constant, but there was obviously time where I was when I was there, and at the time my ex was occasionally having to go somewhere else, so he would take the van and so on. So there was a little bit of in and out at that point, and the renovation again in and out, used it loads while I was renovating it,
Hmm.
and then but then the majority, so about probably 85% of last year from February after the renovations were completely finished right through to December I was in the flat. I think I had a break for 2 weeks where there just wasn't any bookings. So I decided to make use of that. So I enjoyed that. So
So
more
it's,
in the van than in the house. And then this year, the whole flat needed a little bit of coat of paint and things. So
mhm.
I was here January to March earlier this year to do that. And I was really glad to get back in the van.
I
So,
bet you miss it. I was going to say, but
I
when
do,
you've had
yeah.
that sense of freedom, it's really hard to go back to like a normal, home, four walls where you can't
And I
just,
still used it, I still went out in it
yeah, I
occasionally.
bet.
But
So is that
I'm not
how,
immune. I'm so
oh,
sorry.
sorry, I think there's a bit of a delay.
Yeah.
Is that how you make your income then to support your life through renting out your flat on Airbnb?
Yeah, more or less. It's last year I had a bit more time off than I might have normally.
Mhm.
The flat had been on Airbnb for a long time, and it's short term let, and I did try it on other platforms, but I didn't have the same good customer experience from the
Mhm.
host side, so I've stuck with that app, and I really like it, and you obviously start to build up reviews and things like that, so I'm gonna stick to it. But sorry, mind blank, you can edit that bit out. I like to think it's perimenopausal mind freezes that happen every now and again. Uh, I, as I say, I did have a business with a business partner who wasn't my romantic partner. We sold last March, and so there was a bit of burnout to just
Hmm.
come off of. So the flat was pretty much my main activity.
Yeah.
Uh, And I spent quite a bit of time just catching up with friends and family and enjoying just being outside and having a different lifestyle.
And what was the business? Like what kind of business did you build up?
Yeah, so I was very lucky. A series of meetups led me to meet a chap who had experience with gift cards, retail gift cards,
Yeah.
and the business that he founded it, and I joined him within a few months, and we became co-founders and business partners. Was helping other retailers to manage their gift card program.
Mm.
So we did e-commerce, B2B. I didn't have any experience. Like I say, I did a master's uh, because I had previously worked as a travel agent. I was not enjoying work life at all. I was not very successful and I had just prioritized backpacking during my 20s, big time.
Oh,
And
nice.
so, yeah, and I ended up working back in travel off the back of those trips. And that is the job that I had when I moved to London. And the reason I moved to London was just because I realized that I needed to find people that were a little bit more like me. At least
Hmm.
when I was in South America, I just met a bunch of people who, the ones that I got on with most, to be honest, were living or working in London or had lived there. And
Yeah.
I've got to go to London.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I did. And thankfully I met JB and joined the business and made a success of it because I had a fair bit of debt.
Wow. Is that debt from like university and
Yeah, like thankfully undergrad is free in Scotland. Um,
oh wow.
so that was decades ago.
Yeah.
And the masters, yeah, the masters just not earning enough, but kind of feeling hopeful, stupidly hopeful, I think, that I had a kind of commission-based job, so I was holding on for that to kick in, but
Mhm.
I started my master's so that I could move out of being a travel agent. It wasn't really my calling. Um, so yeah, and I just jumped in. We didn't have any real experience. Just apparently I was just good at getting other people to do stuff in the early days.
It's always a handy
Which
skill.
I am quite good at now, actually. I've got a couple of volunteer roles and I'm quite good at roping other people in. I'm gonna get be avoided in the street, I think, going forward. Every time I go up the street, I'm like, oh, you free on Sunday? I need some help. So, so yeah.
So where do you volunteer?
So I am a scout leader,
Oh, cool.
yeah, for the older kids. And I'm part of our community project here in the village where my flat is. And we're doing a big build project to turn it into a community hub.
Wow, that's nice.
So that's quite a new thing. And the reason I kind of pushed myself into these things at the beginning of this year, Scouts was first, and I've gotten a lot out of that. I really enjoy it, and then was asked to join the committee, and it's given me just such a lot of purpose,
Hmm.
connection, because well, being single, I've not always been single, but I currently am. I'm 43, so quite a lot of my friends and family, like friends have got kids and just quite
Hmm.
different. And uh yeah, I've just found loads of connection with it and loads of purpose. And I've done a little bit of like consulting gigs and speaking in the startup circle in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
I'm like hosting quite a lot of the events, well, not quite a lot of, but sporadically I'm hosting events. I'm quite enjoying that. That's all new. So TBC, I was sort of talking to a few young, exciting businesses to maybe work with them. But the flat and the way I've chosen to live for now, anyway, just gives me a bit of flexibility,
Yeah.
explore those things. I would say to anybody that if they are in a idle period between things or like to volunteer, I think it's shown me or reminded me what my skill sets are. Because I think
Hmm.
when you sell a business and you've gone through loads of transitions, I certainly went through a lot of transitions in my role with that business because at first I was doing just about everything. And then you sort of you grow the team and you kind of I kind of was a little bit redundant towards the end.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
you
like
built the team up so
good.
well.
I
Yeah,
was involved in some projects, sorting some stuff out that just prior knowledge was helpful for, but yeah, I lost it. Yeah, I forgot a little bit what I was like, what was what I was into and what my skills were. So
yeah.
it was a little bit of a lonely time coming out of that. It's yeah, I've read a lot about how founders feel when they come out of a business because it's an unusual experience.
I bet. Yeah, I bet
And
it's
I'm
like
feeling that
some.
not everybody, it's not particularly relatable. I wouldn't say I sold my soul. I definitely didn't do that because we were quite, I feel like we were quite strong in our principles and doing what we felt was right. But I definitely sacrificed a lot.
Hmm.
I worked, I gave everything to that,
Yeah.
my 30s. So yeah,
So I bet it's been a transition of just trying to rediscover yourself, like you said, with the
it has.
volunteering.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
got a coach now because I'm. Uh, the YouTube thing was quite fun because it's quite fun to get myself out there, but
Hmm.
I've definitely been reflecting and I wouldn't say I've been procrastinating it because I've got loads of other things to do. Um, but I just don't really feel like at YouTube, like starting a YouTube video and stuff. I just don't know if it's really for me. I'm enjoying
Yeah.
like putting a little bit more on Instagram because everybody's always
Hmm.
saying you could have a YouTube channel, share your adventures. Although at the moment my life isn't particularly adventurous to some people or to lots of
Hmm.
people. I'm not particularly leaving like the Edinburgh area because
Yeah.
I have so many commitments and responsibilities and things, and I'm enjoying being close to friends and family.
Yeah.
But yeah, TPC.
Oh, interesting. Well, yeah, we're definitely going to link like, what your Instagram or whatever ways people can connect with you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's like because we actually moved house from our off-grid mountain home, so we're now living closer to the sea, turning this house completely off-grid, and it was just this might relate to you, but it was just almost like a massive identity thing. Like we were known for that house, like that house was us, and then we left, and it was like this shift where it's taken me nearly a year to almost like rediscover who I am. And it's
Yeah.
really uncomfortable, but I always think it's important for like personal development to kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone. And I
Yeah.
think change is a good thing, but this identity thing, it's like, where do I fit in now? Like, who am I? Like, it's a real hard thing to try and
It is.
navigate.
Yeah.
But
Completely. I think I've done that. I feel like I've done that a few times. So I have made quite big changes in different, and I feel
yeah.
like I've had a few different lives, which may be why I'm still single or single again rather, because I find it difficult to think that the person that I was in my 20s when I was just really keen to backpack and
Hmm.
all those adventurous things and travel the world, I, it would be really serendipitous for me to have found someone at that time to have been in a position to do that as well.
Hmm.
And then for that same person to want to, move to London and then to kind of
Yeah.
suffer through my business years when I was pretty preoccupied or like I've had different people at different times because of that. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
regret it. I'm willing to suffer in a relationship and for love for a matter of months, but not for longer than that.
Yeah. I
That makes
understand.
sense. So when I've felt that it's no longer right, it's not been right.
Yeah. And do you find that hard, like living on the road, is trying to build connections with people? Because I interviewed Van Life with Lucy last week, and she was saying that's one of her hardest kind of challenges is just that loneliness. And she's single as well. Like we made a joke being like, we need to set up like a dating app for van
Oh,
lifers.
totally,
Just to try,
totally.
because it must be really hard to try and meet people like when you're constantly moving.
Take
Like,
my jumper off because I'm really warm.
yeah, carry on.
Can you see my
Um,
cheeks?
but
I
yeah,
get
that's
warm
that
in the
was
van
one of
as well. I'm always just wearing like basically black joggers and a sort of scrappy t-shirt.
that's
Uh,
like me on the
and yeah,
home
the
stuff.
woolly jumpers have come out a little bit, but oh, it's a bit warm. And it is, I've met people that think it's fab and love it and totally,
Hmm.
yeah, I've been on dates, whatever. I've dated, if I say several people, that makes it sound bad, but I've dated several people, sometimes for 2 or 3 months, and for one reason or another. And, you know, obviously I couldn't be with anybody that doesn't adore dogs. Like, I don't just
Yeah,
mean like
yeah,
accept them. I mean, they have to really like want to be like that close to them. And some people are exactly like me in that way.
yeah.
And I've met people that also have vans, that live in vans.
Yeah, because that's one of the things is like Lucy was saying is the van lifers have built up this amazing community and that there are these festivals. So
Yeah,
I guess it's just yeah, having to find like-minded people, which there is a community out there. You've just got to try and find
yeah.
them.
I think, and this hasn't necessarily come up for me, but I imagine a challenge with the van life, if people are van lifing like adventurously, or if they're just van lifing
Yeah,
around a commitment in a city or a place, then you've got those. There's always, and at my age, at my age, yeah, men are different. It's not the same as dating in my 20s and 30s.
yeah,
People have got grown up children or
yeah,
not, or exes, or there's,
yeah. And I guess it's meeting people
I
who
could
who
write a book on it, honestly.
maybe you should. Maybe that
Maybe I
should be
will.
something.
Yeah, it's yeah. And I don't think I certainly don't have a lifestyle that makes me seem 43.
Hmm.
But it's like yeah, yeah. But that not to say that I don't go to bed at 9 o'clock whenever I can, you know.
Yeah,
I'm not out partying, but I still do like to do like mad things and
I love that.
have a good time. And and the kids thing, you know, that's obviously people will think about that maybe. I always thought I would have kids in my 20s and 30s, or most
Hmm.
of my 30s maybe, just because that's what I thought that everybody did.
Hmm.
And then I gave a lot to the business and I was getting a lot out of that. I feel like my entire identity and self-esteem came from that, from being given that
Yeah,
opportunity and grabbing it by the hands and someone really believing in me and building out the team. And I just, not to mention, I didn't actually meet anybody who I think you do have to meet someone that you are willing to procreate with.
yeah,
So
definitely.
in the absence of that, I don't think you should just be, or if you really want kids, of course, there's other ways to do it, but that wasn't me. So yeah, I suppose someone that I thought I might have kids with, um, yeah, didn't work out. The business definitely came in between, probably disrupted a few dynamics
Yeah,
with
yeah,
people
I
in my
bet.
30s. I suppose that didn't really matter to me in the long run. That was the number one thing for me, which maybe sounds a bit cold, but it certainly it gave me an opportunity to buy this property and now to be able to do what I do. So
Amazing. No, you should be
if
really
someone
proud
can't
of
get on board with
yourself.
that, then I guess they can't. But
Yeah.
yeah, and obviously I met someone when I got back here, and I fell deeply in love, and uh, but yeah, again, wasn't meant to be.
Hmm.
It's not meant to be. But if I hadn't met him, you know, I may not have done the van thing, and I certainly wouldn't have got Ruby. So Ruby, well, she's mine now, but like I was in a relationship when I got her. Maybe would have been brave enough to take on two big dogs.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But they're fab, and now I look after dogs. That's the other thing that people won't be surprised by. So I am actually in this house now because I've got a puppy this week that I'm watching. She's 6 months old.
Oh, oh, cute.
Gorgeous. She's absolutely gorgeous. Uh, I've looked after dogs in the van like,
Wow.
regularly. So, I mean, and they have the best time.
Uh-huh.
This dog is a has a predecessor, a dog that the family had as well, and he was bigger than Bear, and he's
Wow.
on his holidays with me in the van. And I've chosen obviously to be in the house partly because I've got a massive big switch over to do.
Yeah.
Uh, for I've not had my winter trousers, and that's been really annoying me. So I'm gonna have a bit of a dig around in my wardrobe. But also, she's so bouncy. The cat, I don't think would have been able to cope with it, and it's just nice to give them space to play and
Yeah. Wow,
indoors,
cute.
just for a change of scene for me. And yeah, the number of times she's knocked over water and in the hallway. It's just,
Yeah.
I just thought I can't do that in the van this week. I just need a little bit of space. So
I
yeah,
don't blame you, to be
I,
honest.
I, I often deal with chaos in there, but I was like, just it's free. The flat's free. I'm gonna
Yeah.
take it and enjoy it.
Take the pressure off.
So yeah,
So I know a lot of my listeners would be interested in hear about your van setup and like the
yeah,
off-grid
of course.
features. So could you just explain to me a little bit about your solar system, your water, like how you heat the van, just all of
Yeah,
like the
sure.
kind of interesting, like what makes you off the grid?
Yeah. So solar panels were on there when I bought it. They uh, now power charge up what is now a Roamer battery, a
Hmm.
lithium battery. 240 Smart is the one that I got, and I've installed a new smart split charger, so the
Hmm.
battery charges when I'm driving, and then I can connect to the mains as well. Which now I'm not having so many trouble with my van services because I had the flat cleaned by someone else for a little while. You know,
Hmm.
when I was in and out and up down to London and stuff, but I'm doing that here now, so it's quite handy. I can plug in when I'm here and when I'm doing the
Perfect.
cleans and stuff, so I don't have so much problem. But I have previously had to find sources of power, and someone was in here for a couple of weeks recently. I had to stay at a campsite, which was an odd one for me, but it was fine. It's good. So that's the power, and I have a Truma boiler, which was in there when I bought the van as well. And it hasn't failed me in 4 years, so I can't really recommend them enough. It's really quiet. What the only thing that I would do differently if I was doing it again was to get a diesel powered Truma boiler, which I might be wrong, but I think that was perhaps a newer product of theirs. Because LPG is quite hard to get hold of. Not all the petrol stations do it. And it's an underslung gas tank. Connecting the gas to the fitting is sometimes a little bit of a challenge, but I think I've got the hang of it now. Only costs, it used to cost under tenner to fill it up. Now it's probably between 15 and £20. And in the summer, I don't have to do that between about April and end of September or thereabouts. That a tank can last me for my hot showers, so it also powers the hot water. And I just turn the hot water on boost for 10 minutes before I want to jump in. It's so hot, the water, that I have to often turn it down if I've left it on too long. Like, so it's yeah. Um, then the bed, that's a Murphy bed mechanic that I just bought on Amazon or eBay. I must dig it out so I can share it because it's a really good one, and watched a few videos on how people are attaching them. And Danny, the guy that was helping me, did a great job, basically. I can't really take credit for the installation itself. And I've got a full mattress on there. It's not a foamy, it's a like a proper mattress. And I think you might be on mute, by the way, just to which might be intentional. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think my microphone's died of battery. So sorry, I'm
Oh,
probably
no
going to hear
worries.
loads of questions and you
I was just like, no,
thank you for letting me know.
no worries. I was like, no. I can't believe how red I am. I mean, this is what happens when I'm warm. It's
I
what
haven't
menopause
even
is like,
noticed.
having a hot flash. Eh, boiler, hot water, heating, the bed. I mean, the heating is so good that people are always like, "Oh, do you do the winter?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, but the only thing about the winter that there's loads of things that are more challenging in the winter, and those things are not being able to leave the door open and sit with the door open,
Hmm.
having to kind of open and shut it quicker. I let the dogs out 'cause it's obviously freezing. I mean, when it's obviously it gets down to like -5, or worse.
Wow.
So, but even then, what I would say is you just jump back in, shut the door, whack the heating on, and it's such a small space, it heats up so quick.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like I say, we had a stove in there for a little while, and I decided not to try to find space for another one because, and they look lovely. They are lovely. and I've seen some videos recently where people are using like a coal that isn't so messy,
Hmm.
but it's just not essential. Like you don't need it between about, well, I don't need it between about March and October, so that's a
Yeah.
long time to have something static in there that you don't need.
Yeah.
And we always had to have the windows open when the fire was on because it was so unbelievably hot. So
Wow.
kind of a false economy and a lot of space and a lot of dirt. And also not being able to just like whack it on for 10 minutes, but then have to drive somewhere, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I never thought of that being an issue. Like if you've got your stove and then you need to drive somewhere, it's like trying to put the
Yeah,
fire
I'm not
out.
sure actually. If you've got like a proper fixed stove, I assume, and I don't know, presumably you can just kind of, I don't know, close the
Drive
vent or
along with
something, and
it. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that would maybe be a bit dangerous, but the way that we had it, which was not ideal, it was a very much a makeshift solution, was having the flue out out the window. So
Yeah. Because you said in your
anywhere with that.
you said in your liberation video that you had a little accident, was it? Like because you put a
Oh,
fire extinguisher. So what happened there?
yeah. Yeah. That was a sobering moment. I was at the same spot where I was filmed actually, so it was quite windy.
Hmm.
Not always that windy, but it was windy on the filming day and on this particular day. So I always use my little gas stove, usually on the other side, on the other
Hmm.
side. But this particular morning, I put the stove there, I put my kettle on. The kitchen roll, which you might not have seen, hangs just above or just underneath that.
Right, okay.
So, and I've put it on, looked out, obviously keep an eye on the dogs for them doing the toilet. Ruby's done it. Ruby's gone to the toilet and I've just jumped out to go and pick it up. Meanwhile, the wind's knocked my kitchen roll and yeah, caught fire.
Oh my God.
I felt so stupid, obviously. And yeah, thankfully sorted it out pretty swiftly. And there was no like real damage done. It's been like that for a really long time, and I really keep meaning to sand it down, but it's just not a priority. So
Hmm.
it is what it is. Yeah, super lucky, very
Gosh,
lucky.
thank goodness that didn't, take up the whole van. And it's amazing how quickly these things can happen, isn't it?
Sorry
Like
about it.
I've talked about this a few times in podcasts. We left the mountain house because I was suffering with PTSD because 5 years ago we had like a forest fire. And so it's just amazing how quickly these things can happen and just spread.
Yeah,
And you just don't like within seconds how everything can change.
yeah,
And so yeah, I totally relate to that kind of like I've got a fire extinguisher in my house now because things like I was just so like, oh, you don't, fires or don't bother with smoke detectors in your house and all this kind of stuff. I was a bit like naive really, but it's
yeah.
insane how things can happen in such like a,
It's crazy,
short space of time.
crazy.
So
In the most part, I've always been present when I'm doing any sort of cooking.
yeah,
It was a really unfortunate, like, so, yeah, don't do that anymore.
no.
That's not to say that that's not to say that stupid things won't happen because they do. I also
They
nearly
do,
lost my
yeah.
eyelashes once because the ignition on the oven has stopped working. And in order to fix it, I would need to pull the whole thing out, and I just haven't bothered. So I get down there and I
Mhm.
get a match, and
Yeah.
it's absolutely fine. Uh, and I was down there doing that, but it's possible that I hadn't the knob hadn't fully turned it off the previous time. So
Oh no.
so when I went down there, like literally down, like side by side with the oven, turn it on, it was just a blast.
Oh my God.
So yeah. And then I went, I think because I don't wear mascara like, as a rule, or not as a rule, but just not generally day to day. And then the one time I was going out, I went to put it on and I was like,
Where are my eyelashes?
pretty sure they were longer the last time.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
Oh,
I mean, so many things
yeah.
have gone wrong. I got bogged once. It was the first time I went back into it like last sort of Easter, and yeah, and which was fine. It wasn't fine, but it was like I was safe and everything. I got pulled
Hmm.
out, got towed out, and just the timing of it, I couldn't get into a garage to get it fixed because in the process of trying to get out of the bog, someone had offered to help, and I'd said, "Oh, why don't you jump in the front seat? I've not got much experience. I'm happy for you to try and roll it out of this spot that I'm in."
Hmm.
Which he did, but he did it in second, and apparently that's not such a good idea because it burnt my clutch out.
Oh
Point
no.
being, I was then stranded basically at a car park for longer than I would have liked, and so I ran out of power, water, like gas,
Oh
like
God.
everything. So yeah, so those few days got pretty chilly.
Yeah.
But I also like thought it was such an adventure. I had like a little wash in a basin. I'd boiled some water that I had to go to
Hmm.
the co-op to buy, and it was just fun. Fun
Yeah,
for me.
all these things I think they're just part of your story and make you stronger. Like the amount of things that have gone wrong for us over the years, like living off grid, and it's all just a massive learning curve.
100%. It can't, you can't appreciate the times where you're sat having a coffee to the
Yeah.
sunrise or a glass of wine at sunset and all those lovely, rare Instagram ready photo
Yeah.
moments.
Yeah.
If you haven't suffered a little bit. And
Absolutely.
that's true in life and well in all like life. I massively suffered like for that business,
Hmm.
the house or whatever,
Yeah.
backpacking, whatever. It's all part of it's all part of, as you said before, making yourself a bit uncomfortable
Yeah.
in order to make some sort of change that you feel in your heart is going to make you happier.
Absolutely. Yeah. There was a quote, there's a quote I read the other day. It was like, would you rather stay comfortable or be happy? Because I think it's like, we all stay comfortable, like in our homes, doing the 9 to 5, going, the hamster wheel. And it's not necessarily like setting your soul on fire but you're not really happy, you're just comfortable.
And
And
I've
I
got no
think,
problem with all of the people that,
no, not at all.
share that. Is I think one of the things that I said in the video that has been put on the reel that I was kind of like, oh, that makes me sound a bit like anti this or that. Is I'd said something about, bigger houses and things.
Hmm.
Bigger houses are amazing. Like, I would love, what I would love in the longer term, potentially, is a place where it doesn't need to be a big property. It could be a small property. It doesn't even have to be a property, quite frankly, although I realize that's probably easier for things like mains and power and things.
Hmm.
With enough land for me to create some sort of, I don't know, glamping space, van
Yeah.
park, dog sitting, dog training kind of place. So I appreciate that. What I guess I was saying is that I personally didn't want to have a big job again to be able to afford a nice house
Yes.
or
Yeah.
now. So if you're happy in your job and you want to have the responsibility or the monthly outgoings that comes with that, then fab
Hmm.
with a snazzy car and all that. Brilliant. There's people, that I know that are living, you know, up at that upper limit, but potentially not having the kind of free space or free time to explore some other things.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, like
Different with
kind of trapped with
courses.
I think that's how I felt in the UK anyway, was just very trapped with the consistent outgoings, just, the rent, the heating, the water, the electricity, like constantly being in debt. Just, me and my husband were constantly working non-stop. We just had a child together. Like he would go out to work in the day, I'd have Poppy, he'd come home, I'd go out, do massaging. And it was just like passing ships and
Yeah,
always in debt. And it was a bit soul destroying. Like just couldn't keep up with it. But that was
yeah.
just our story. Whereas, on the flip side, we have family members who absolutely love the corporate lifestyle and they've got the nice houses, the cars, and they're really happy with that and, really comfortable. But we just couldn't get ahead in the UK. We found it so difficult. And I think that's why I'm an advocate for off-grid in Spain as well, because the lifestyle you're talking about, the property, you can buy like really lovely rural properties with loads of land and have that, the space to do, well, campsites, you'd have to get like a tourist license and stuff, but
Yeah.
have the dogs and you can live like that millionaire lifestyle, but on like a really tiny, tiny budget. Like we've got property on our website that's, I don't know, 30, 40, 50,000 euros, and they're proper houses with land and down by
So
the
tempting.
river or I know, I'm trying to sell you some property here.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
it's
do. I
just
love the
amazing.
idea of it. Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I'd never looked at properties in Portugal and Spain. I speak a bit of Portuguese. I used to speak really good Portuguese, and before that Spanish because I was really into Latin culture. But
Oh wow.
um, I know that I don't want to do that as a single person,
Yeah, yeah.
nor do I particularly want to live in a rural place with nobody around me as a single person.
Yeah. No, I agree. And again, that's like living on the mountain. It was wonderful and it was beautiful and tranquil. But as soon as that fire happened, like 2 years into our journey, it really did make me think about being vulnerable. And especially like when my husband would go off to work or he'd go out for the day and then I was there on my own. And
Hmm.
the thoughts would start coming in. Well, what if something happens? I'm here on my own. I'm isolated. I've got two kids to try and keep alive. Like, just all these things. There is that beautiful thing about being away from society and away from people and isolated. But also on the
Yeah,
flip side, can be very vulnerable and very scary at the same time.
absolutely. And the aunt that I mentioned who became unwell, she lived in a one street little village, fairly close to a town, a village, to a,
Hmm.
wouldn't call it a town, a bigger village, sorry, so there was a tiny little one street place without any amenities, and then there was a village, maybe like a 5 7 minute drive down some country tracks where there was a co-op and things, but at the point where it wasn't possible for her to drive anymore,
Hmm.
you know, even a place like that wasn't supportive enough. The network wasn't big enough.
Yeah,
The villages can't fully take care of someone like that. So,
yeah,
there was a lot of helping out, and we all really appreciated it. But we, the family, the wider family, were an hour away at least. So, now
yeah,
actually
yeah,
she's quite nearby here. So watching her situations made me feel or think a lot about what later life might look like.
yeah,
And she was married, she didn't have kids for a few reasons, but she's had all of us as a family. So we got quite a big family, lots of cousins, and I watch her in the care home, not watch her, but watch the care home. And there's a lot of people in there that have got kids who never visit.
wow.
So the kind of idea of having kids to kind of support you or be there in later life, it, the people that I see that are older, retired, that are appear to be living a really good life, a nice life that they
Hmm.
enjoy, are people that are involved in community things or volunteer things or have good
Yeah,
hobbies or have
yeah.
maintained friendships.
That's it. I think community is everything, and I didn't realize that when we moved out here. It's like we just wanted to be self-sufficient, didn't need anybody. Don't, me and Jack against the world, like sod it. But actually, like, it's amazing how much community is so important. I mean, luckily we have a massive expat community here, and even the local Catalans are amazing. But I didn't realize how important community was until we became self-reliant. Um,
Yeah,
and I think like I see it in the villages, and I kind of envy this about Spain, how it's not the same in the UK, but in the villages, like all the Catalans, they live in the same houses with their cousins, their grandparents,
yeah,
their parents. Like they've got these massive townhouses all split up into almost like mini flats, and they're
yeah,
all there for each other. And in this local village where our old mountain house was, it was just like the village was a massive community, like everyone looking after each other's kids. The kids would
yeah.
play in the street. There's
So
always a set of
nice.
eyes on them. And it's lovely. Like it's a shame really that that's kind of broken down a bit in the UK.
I'm gonna say
Um,
because I do hear I didn't really experience it, but people do talk about that having been a way of life in the UK, in some areas,
yeah,
where the kids were out in the street, and I definitely did that when I was really young. Um, but yeah, it's so nice. I like the idea of Spain and Portugal.
yeah, yeah. No, it's
I'm not ready
lovely.
to, like, I think in the winter, I guess my ideal, if I'm being honest, is to spend winter months there and come back here for summer so I don't miss out on as I say, it's quite important to me to continue building, maintaining relationships with all my friends and family.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of the things that I like about being here, like I said about Christmas, is hosting Christmas, hosting Boxing Day.
Hmm.
Last night I had some cousins round, the two kids and the granny, and the house full. Just
Yeah.
loved it. Cooked a proper roast dinner. It was amazing.
Oh, I love that. I
Had a
do
few
miss that.
drinks
That's my
tonight.
one. Yeah.
Been able to, well, I mean, that can happen with community and neighbours and things as well, but just being able to host, like, is something that I really enjoy. So I'm lucky to be able to do it occasionally. Don't get me wrong, I can host in the van, but it's not quite the same. One
Yeah.
person at a time. But yeah, I can make use of, like, yeah, house that I've worked pretty hard to get this house. So
Yeah, you've got the best of both
proud
worlds,
of it.
haven't you? Like you can tap in and out of, the house when you want, or you can be free and go traveling, and it's
Yeah.
really wonderful.
Oh,
So
thanks. Sure.
could you give me three positives and three negatives about living in the van?
Yeah. Convenience is, I think, one that I said on liberation, because I find it so even when I'm in the house, I take the dogs with me occasionally, like sometimes to run errands and things, because I've got the van there. I can leave them in there. It is their home, got the skylight and everything, so
Hmm.
I can potter and run errands and walk on the way somewhere or whatever. So convenience, definitely. It's it's not cheap. It's not cheap. Like, it's not cheap isn't the word I would use to live in a van, because there's also been a lot of mechanical issues or costs involved with that van, which was another time that I had to stay in the house when it was in the
Hmm.
garage. And so it's not about cost so much, but it is currently a way for me to uh, monetize my property.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. And of course, in some months I'm making a little bit more and being able to use that to live. But so having a little bit more freedom, and it's given me freedom to not have to jump straight into a full-time job again. So it's buying me time while I kind of figure out the next moves in some
Yeah.
ways, although it's been 3.5 years, so
Yeah.
it's I don't see it changing in the next couple of years, but I like and it might become more hybrid, it might become more time in here. Another one, oh yeah, being able to wake up at different places. I love the beach, I love the sea,
Yeah.
but I love the hills and things. Visiting friends in the van or family is like, you don't have to unpack, you don't have to take up space.
Hmm.
You can just rock up and sleep on the driveway,
Love that.
which I've done loads.
That's awesome. And then three negatives. I don't really like talking about the negatives, but it's just reality. So, what are the
I think one thing that I appreciate when I come here, so I've got where I'm sat here, it's in my lounge, but I've turned it round so that I can, which is how I used to do it for when I was working. I love being able to have my computer set up here with all my paperwork and to-do lists and whatnot. I've got a bunch of receipts I need to go through. But see, if I want to, I don't know, when I'm ready to go to bed, I can just leave it here.
Yeah, yeah, you don't have to
Back to
pack
it in
it
the
away.
morning.
Yeah,
So, of course, and I can have a shower without having to tidy up my kitchen, or for
yeah,
example.
yeah.
So but it's great, but I have to move things around sometimes, and
Hmm.
the dog, the mess, is, of course the house gets messy as well. Of course it does, but I can kind of contain it in the hallway, whereas in the van you're keeping on top of things, or not, as the case sometimes is.
Yeah.
Uh, and in particularly in the winter months and the cloudier months, you've just got more van chores to do.
Hmm.
Uh, Powering up, getting water, emptying your wastewater. And those things do tend to have to come first. You have to manage that around whatever other responsibilities and commitments you've got.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, I need to do that. Like, I need to do that.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
But I also need to be here at this time. So sometimes, and that just takes a bit of an experience. In the most part, I'm pretty good at keeping on top of that now.
Yeah, it's like all
The
like you
winter
have to
months
be
adds a
super.
trip to the LPG station, which for
Yeah,
me, being here is about 20 minutes away, which
yeah,
isn't far, but I have to factor it in. 20 minutes, half an hour. Laundry is easy, but it's not as easy as just chucking it on and then making your dinner.
yeah,
Oh,
of course.
so I should correct myself there because I do often do laundry and cook at the same time in
Uh-huh.
the van. It's just that you're probably parked in like a horrible car park
Yeah,
where the washing machines are.
yeah.
So it's a little bit different.
Amazing. And then, so I don't want to keep you any longer of your time, but if I could just ask you like one final question. So, what advice would you give someone who dreams of living this lifestyle but feels a bit scared to take the first step?
Uh, I think trying it, like renting, is
Yeah.
a bad shout. Although it's difficult to rent one and make a decision based on that experience alone because you could have or find a different van that suits your lifestyle more,
Hmm.
and layout wise. I don't think I was a little bit lax on my security in the beginning. I do realize that. But we're in Scotland, we're not I've never felt unsafe. I've traveled in South America. It's a little bit naive. I've also met people who have gotten themselves into bother, and I know
Hmm.
why that's happened. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Something bad's going to happen to me now. Do
Touch
it.
wood.
Yeah, but so I would say don't be scared. I know that people talk about being scared, but if there's people in the car park, so there's a car park near here where I stay, and people show up and smoke weed and
Hmm.
I don't know, rev their engine and stuff. What interest have they got in me?
Yeah, yeah,
What are they going to do to me?
yeah.
Like, of course I've got the dogs. Of course that helps because they bark and they're loud. Of course it does. But I have stayed in the van without them before, depending on the situation. I just sort of think, what is it that they could possibly want or do with me?
Just want some snacks.
Max.
The
I'm
munchies.
pretty, I like to think I'm pretty personable, so
Hmm.
I just jump out and say hello.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
often speak to people that are just hanging about in car parks.
yeah. I love
Uh,
that.
so yeah, so I'd say don't be scared, try it out. It helps for me having a base, of course. And if you don't
Hmm.
have that, I can understand that that's a much a bigger, bigger thing to think about.
Yeah.
There's obviously challenges when the vehicle may or may not need to go into the garage,
Hmm.
and that's happened to me when my house has been booked out. Um, so a couple of times I've just stayed in the industrial estate where the garage is. I've just had to say to them, "I'm going to drop it off," and well, what I thankfully was able to do was get a little rental just for the day, really
Yeah,
cheap,
yeah.
and so just purely so I could transport the dogs and the cat. I can't take all of them on a bus.
Wow.
Probably I could, but I'd really rather not,
Yeah.
especially based on where this garage is. And yeah, I was like, I'll be back at 5 to go to bed, and they think it's mad.
I
And I
love
just
that.
drive it out into the industrial estate out of the car park.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because it like when I spoke to Lucy, it's your home, it's your vehicle. So when
Yeah.
something goes wrong and it needs to go in the garage, like that's, really does mess up everything, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've had a few challenging times with garages where I've just not had the services that I need and not in the
Mm.
right time either.
Hmm.
And I've since have taken it to Mercedes themselves, Mercedes commercial,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's been amazing.
Wow.
Everything's itemized, so it has cost me a lot, but I'm able to see, line by line
A full breakdown. Yeah,
breakdown. So I feel really confident. So
yeah,
the van's put in pretty good nick now. Spent more than I'd like to admit on it, really,
yeah.
mechanically. Not to mention the build and all the things that I wanted that were what I wanted. That it was going to be my full-time home. It wasn't a. I
Mhm.
didn't try to do it on the. I didn't make decisions purely based on cost.
Hmm.
You know, um, if I had had endless amounts of money, maybe would I have sent it off to one of these amazing van build companies? Probably, maybe,
Yeah.
because of the situation I was in. But obviously, I was trying to save money, so I was there working in that garage in -3. I've got videos of me doing
Wow.
stuff, and I had my little stove outside to try and bring the garage up to, above
Blimey.
freezing. So I definitely did things to try to keep costs down, but I made some decisions based on my comfort.
Yeah. And
Not
surely it gives you that connection more to the van if you've literally put your blood, sweat, and tears into it.
absolutely, and because of that, I can't just say, "Oh, the van needs this amount of work done." I'll just sack
Yeah.
it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's getting a lot more attention than it perhaps deserves, but it's done 200,000 miles now, just about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But it's your home, isn't it? Like, people spend so much on their home,
yeah,
constantly renovating, decorating, like paying the bills. So, the fact that you're putting that into your van is completely normal, really, because it is your home.
so many things need fixing. And
Yeah.
another reason that's helpful to be here is that I've got, tools here and more tools here than I can carry. And I'm needing to fix that wastewater tank because it just relentlessly keeps giving me bother.
Yeah.
It's just a tiny little drip. But
Yeah.
the the pipe itself is obviously a bit brittle now, so I just need to go and get a full replacement.
Replace it. Yeah.
It's just all these little things, but yeah.
Oh, well,
I
thank you
talk
so much.
continuously as it sounds like you can, so
Yeah, we better wrap it up, but because I really don't want to take any of your time. But I just want to say a massive thank you for like joining me today and to share more of your story. And hopefully, your story will inspire more people to live an alternative lifestyle and or at least just try it, like you said. And that's what I thought about when we moved to Spain. It's like if it doesn't work out, at least we tried, at least we gave it a go. Like we can always go back. And
yeah, 100%. I think one of
nothing's
the things, the reason that sorry, just to add, the reason that I might pursue more online stuff and the reason I've been maybe like keeping a bit more active on social media is because it isn't it isn't really sustainable for van life to become this huge thing, right? So
hmm.
everybody can't just start moving into vans and living in them full time here.
Yeah.
This system is not there for it. And of course
Yeah.
we all have challenges with that now, and I hear a lot of people talking about how it's all getting clamped down on. But
Hmm.
I do feel that there's a way to, I don't know, talk about it more, see what can be done. There's a lot of myths, I think, about what van people do in their vans, the
Yeah.
nuisance that we cause. Because as far as I can tell, everywhere I've stayed, people are packed up and in their beds at 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
or shut down by that time anyway.
Yeah. I think, I'm not stereotyping all van lifers, but I think ultimately they just want a more peaceful way of life. Like,
Mostly is my
yeah,
experience too. Like people just want
yeah,
to just be quiet. Of course, there's people that do things that are a little bit, particularly, and again, you can't say this across the board, but people that rent vans maybe aren't thinking quite as much about how to
yeah.
dispose of things and that kind of thing. So maybe there's some conversations to be opened up with rental companies, like how much
Hmm.
education are you giving those people? And if someone does see a rented van do something silly, let's not scar the whole
Yeah,
van
exactly.
that. That's
Yeah,
just happened once, and I've had lots of conversations with people who are able to give me one example, and I'm
yeah,
like, so it's happened once.
yeah. Out of thousands and
Out of
thousands.
thousands and thousands of
Yeah,
people.
of course.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
thank you so much again.
No
And
worries.
like I
Nice.
said, I will link your Instagram and anything else in the show notes. I'll put your liberation video in there as well so
Yeah,
people can see
cute.
your really cool design. And
Thanks.
yeah, just thank you. Maybe like, in a few months' time or a year's time, we could do another like check-in and just because I'd like to kind of follow people's journeys as well and just see what you're up to in a year's time. So maybe we could have another follow-up.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see where we're at. I won't have any more animals though.
No. Oh, well, yeah, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day
No worries, thanks. Nice to talk
and
to
we will
you.
keep in touch.
Yeah, definitely. Take care.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.